They say don't kick a man while he's down. Well, Dame Lillard, he ruptured his Achilles tendon in the playoffs, and as a result of that Achilles tendon rupture, just months later, now he's shipped off, waived from the Milwaukee Bucks. So the question, very simply put, starting the show is, what in the world does that mean? Well, to me, Kelvin, can I get some music back? Because I'm talking to the people. To me, Giannis, you messed it up. Giannis, you got it wrong. Giannis, you're to me a top 15 player of all time. And how in the world do you get rid of Jrue Holiday? How in the world do you get rid of Adrian Griffin, your head coach, who had you as a number 2 seed, and think that Dame Lillard is simply going to fix everything? See, with great power comes great responsibility, and heavy is the head that wears the crown. Giannis, you are the person that's wearing the crown. Giannis, you are the person that's the best player on the team. Giannis, you are the top 75 overall player. So when I think about the fact that Dame Lillard is no longer there, that now if you're looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, that roster looks in totality depleted, I have to blame Giannis Antetokounmpo, because Giannis is the person who everything falls on. Remember, when LeBron James says he wants this player and he wants that player, when LeBron James says, yo, I want to make sure that I have Anthony Davis, he makes sure it works. And if it doesn't work, it's on LeBron James. When Kevin Durant says that he wants certain players, if it doesn't work, it's on Kevin Durant. So when Giannis, you say you want certain players, if it doesn't work, hey, Giannis, it is on you. I got to head to the desk. My brother, Will Blackmon, is here. Now, Will, what's up, baby?
What's up, dog?
Will, it's your first time in the facility.
I feel like a visiting free agent. Like, I've never been here. You're showing me around, showing me what's going on. Like,
now, here's the thing. Visiting free agents, what they do as soon as they arrive in the facility, when you go to a workout, in case y'all don't know, viewers at home, the first stop you make is you go to the equipment room, because you got to get fitted for a tire. It is obviously by the sweatshirt that you're wearing that you did not realize that you needed to dress up for the facility, sir.
When I come to the facility, this is what I wear. I know we were on a cruise ship. That's why I was sure. I saw this outfit. I was like, this is how I dress when I come to the facility. I don't know about y'all, but this is what I do.
Will Blackmon, Super Bowl champion, 10-plus year NFL veteran, a close friend of mine, and obviously a friend of the facility. Will, let's talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo for a second here, because when I think about Giannis, I'm frustrated with him that it didn't work out in Milwaukee. Because sure, you could have suggested I want more from Dame, but Giannis knew what it took to win a championship. Dame Lillard did not. Dame had never won a championship before. Dame had only ever won 2 playoff series during a playoff run one time, going to the Western Conference Finals one time where he lost to the Golden State Warriors, and it wasn't particularly close. Giannis should have known, hey, it takes more than just stardom. It takes more than just big shot making. It takes what I call a janitor player. Somebody willing to do the dirty work, right. Somebody willing to do the dirty things. It takes a really good backcourt along with a really good front court. It takes guards that can play defense, not just guards that can score. That was Jrue Holiday. Anytime you're constructing any quality corporation, whether it's a business, whether it's a family, whether it's an educational system, whether it's a sports franchise, everybody has to be able to uniquely play their role. And if anybody's going to call out the truth, I got to call out Giannis, because he did not construct that team properly. Whose fault is it in your mind for Giannis's early exit from Milwaukee?
For Dame's, I think I'm going to look at the front office, because ultimately you're the one that's making the decisions. And I say that because they what they do is, yes, they're trying to please Giannis, their franchise player. But what they did kind of mortgage the future of the Milwaukee Bucks. So now you bring in a guy who was high-level scoring, pretty much what Giannis needed, and then instantly in 2 years, all of a sudden we're done. I understand he had the Achilles, but here's the thing, too. Like, I don't believe he's washed at all. He's still productive. He did great things, averaging 25 points when he was there with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I just feel like why not just, chill with Dame, let him rehab, come back, and you're going to get another high-level scorer.
But let me suggest this. Here, to me, is the why not. Because even the 2 years that the Milwaukee Bucks had Dame Lillard, one of the greatest players of the generation, a top 75 all-time player, a player who you could suggest single-handedly put the Portland Trail Blazers on his back to make playoff pushes, even when they had Dame, they weren't a good basketball team. Even when they had Dame, I would suggest Giannis was still tasked to do too much, because Giannis still had to play defense, because even if Dame is on the court, Giannis isn't that primary defender. This is with Dame off the court, but I want to show y'all this, Reg, if you're sitting in the booth right there. I want to show y'all 2 plays, because Giannis is tasked with both playing incredible defense and then also scoring. You'll see right here, this is Giannis having to score what would have been a game winner, going up 103-99. But then the very next possession, now you got to guard Tyrese Halliburton to guard. Wait, make that make sense. So you got to score on offense, then you got to guard the best guard. Then, Giannis, you got to try to score to win the game, and you could turn around fadeaway, you fall short. Now we're in overtime. Tyrese Halliburton, down by 1. Why is Giannis Antetokounmpo a 6'11" individual that's a big on a 6'4" guard? Because the Milwaukee Bucks don't have the guards to guard the guards. when I think about it, you can take that off. Let me talk to Will for a moment. That's what Drew Holiday was for.
No question. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As a Celtics fan, no question.
Like, that's what Drew Holiday won a championship the year after he leaves Milwaukee. He goes and he wins one with the Boston Celtics maybe 2 years later. That's what Drew Holiday was for. But when you try to go top heavy and you try to acquire all these stars, you forget what it takes to build a roster. You say you blame the front office.
But that is why.
But Giannis is the best player.
He is the best player.
Isn't it don't superstar players sometimes act as the front office, in your opinion?
You do consult. For example, if I'm a general manager of a team and you are our star player, you come to me about, hey, we want to do this, we want to get certain guys, but I truly know with my experience as a GM, but this guy is the heartbeat and the soul. And so let's come to a common ground where we can agree on that. And so if I just budge and I give in to what you're asking for, and let me let go of a guy like that in Drew Holiday, who ultimately just overhauled the complete package of an NBA player on and off the field. Let me get rid of the heartbeat and let me try to get you a high-level score that you want. I still made that decision. I still gave in to what you want.
Let me ask you this. Do you at minimum, because here's what I blame Giannis for being short-sighted. Oftentimes, even star players in the NBA, they get obsessed with stars. It's one thing if you at home, the fans do. It's another thing if I do. But oftentimes, even star players can get star-eyed. I remember walking into the Eagles facility, and then I saw Mike Vick. And I'm in the NFL, like Mike Vick's in the NFL. But I'm like, oh, snap, that's Mike Vick.
No doubt.
I'm sure Giannis was like, man, I've seen Dame do the Dame time thing.
So I walked into Green Bay. I saw Favre. I saw Charles Woodson. That was my first day at the facility. I saw them too. So yeah, to your point, I understand that.
Do you blame Giannis for being short-sighted enough to get so enamored with Dame Lillard being an all-time scorer that he forgot what it takes to have other pieces elsewhere?
I think I would say he probably panicked a little bit in terms of okay, we did this, we won the championship in this way, but now I'm seeing all these guys pairing up with stars, and I want to get another high-level person here. I want to get another high-level star. So short-sighted and a little bit of panicking in that aspect, too.
See, well, I'm not super convinced just yet that the Chiefs' offense is going to get back rolling. Here's why. For the first time, I was shocked when I heard this. Shocked when I heard this on my drive into work this morning. Andy Reid, for the first time in his career, back-to-back seasons with a 15th or worse-ranked offense. So it's not just like this was a one-year anomaly. This is 2 years in a row that the Chiefs' offense hasn't necessarily hit on all cylinders. You played defensive back, I played linebacker. Viewers want to bring you into an interesting conversation. When you think about it from a schematic perspective,
right.
Rashid Rice coming back from injury. Travis Kelce last year couldn't beat man-to-man one-on-one coverage. He got busy in zone coverage, but towards the end of the season, people realized just play a man with the safety, he can't win anymore. He's lost 25 pounds, we'll see. Offensive line, a second-round pick from last year, he couldn't play, you sent him to the bench. Your all-pro guard, Joe Thuney, you have to move him from guard, completely change positions, move him to offensive tackle because you didn't have an offensive tackle. You now moved on from Joe Thuney. Xavier Worthy, is he going to be Tyreek Hill or is he going to be Deshaun Jackson? Both incredible players, but different players. Deshaun Jackson, he's a goal ball guy.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, he's going to give you 12, 13, 1,400 yards a year. Is Xavier Worthy going to mature into a full, bona fide 1,200-yard receiver, or is he going to be a big play gadget guy that runs reverses and runs now screens? Until we see how this offense matures, how can you, as a 10-year defensive back who's won a Super Bowl and played at a high level and seen people play at a high level, are you convinced, and how can you be?
Well, here's the thing. With all those concerns that you have or had, they still went 15-2. And yeah, we can say the defense played well. The offense only averaged 22 points a game to me, which is wild. But I'm 1,000% convinced, because here's the thing. When a team like the Kansas City Chiefs are having so much success in the past, half decade, teams are literally throwing every single piece of armor or weaponry at this offense. They're trying to find a way to stop arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So you're doing all these things schematically. And so, of course, every week, since you're getting everyone's best shot, it's going to be that challenge. But again, I go back to the health of the team. When I was playing, I always heard nothing is more important than the health of the team. And so with Kelce dealing with injuries, obviously he looked sluggish and slow and still had 800 yards, which for any tight end, that's really, really good. For him, it was a down year. And then, right, you have a rookie receiver in Worthy who's trying to figure it out. Pacheco is not healthy, who is a bell cow when it comes down to it. And so now you're getting all these guys back, and you get smacked in the face in the Super Bowl. So everyone's coming back extremely motivated. And when you have somebody great like Mahomes, great like Travis Kelce, great like Andy Reid, great like Steve Spagnuolo, how do you inspire those guys? You give them something to be motivated about.
Let me say something that might seem inflammatory. I'm not convinced the Chiefs still have the players. Do they have the brilliant mind of Andy Reid? Absolutely. Yeah. Do they have a phenomenal quarterback in Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely. But you play defense, I play defense. 15 years or so in the NFL between us. I'm not convinced they have the players. Every week on defense, specifically on Wednesday of a game week, you go into your defensive meeting, as you know, not talking to you, talking through you to the audience, and you talk about who do you have to watch on offense that week?
Right.
Who are the guys you have to circle? Who do you have to put a star by? The Kansas City Chiefs, in my mind, no longer have a player on offense outside of the quarterback, and you never star the quarterback because they're a given. They don't have a player on offense that you have to put a star by. You no longer have to double-team Travis Kelce on third down because he hasn't shown you yet that he can still win.
Yep.
You do not have to double-team Rashid Rice coming back from an injury. We don't even know what he's going to do. Justin Watson out the building. You do not have to double-team, and you don't have to put a star by Xavier Worthy. You have to be mindful of his speed.
Yep.
ADB, maybe sit back at 8 yards, play off. Don't try to press this dude. He can win. But you do not have to double-team Xavier Worthy. There is no longer a player on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, Isaiah Pacheco included, that you are worried about as a defensive player. Players make plays from a weekly basis. The defense is what won them so many games last year. Who still scares you? You can't say Pat, he's the quarterback. Who still scares you on that Chiefs offense?
Yeah, well, I would say the formula for the Kansas City Chiefs, even when Tyreek left, has been receiver by committee. And it almost kind of reminds me of playing against the Patriots, right? There's this conversation of like amongst the NFL players, like who's kind of more dangerous? Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it Tom Brady? And most people say Aaron Rodgers because of what he can do, his ability with the football. Brady was dangerous because what he can do schematically. And yeah, the one time he had a all-out receiver in Randy Moss, yeah, obviously he cooked. And the same thing with Mahomes when he had Tyreek Hill. But the formula for the Kansas City Chiefs have been like, just give me a bunch of guys who can get yak. Give me a bunch of punt returners, right? Let me get the ball now to Tony. Let me get the ball now to Hollywood Brown. Let me get the ball now to Juju Smith. Let me get the ball now to these guys and work away at the field. So if you play 10 yards off, I got a punt returner that can get yak. And that's how it's been. Like, we go to the Super Bowl when they beat the Eagles. Sky Moore had a touchdown. Kadarius Toney had a touchdown. Yeah. Two guys that can get yak who are punt returners.
I'm going to ask you a difficult question. I'm going to state my thought process and ask it to you. Has the Super Bowl drought for the Kansas City Chiefs started? Here's why I suggest that. We all forget, in the midst of praising Tom Brady, which we absolutely should, the Patriots didn't win a Super Bowl for 10 years. From 2004 to 2014, they did not win a championship. They won 3, 10-year break, 3. Patrick Mahomes has already won his 3.
Right.
Are we in the midst of his 10-year hiatus? Why I'm suggesting that is the Eagles, from a roster perspective, are way, 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 way better than the Kansas City Chiefs. The Baltimore Ravens, from a roster perspective, are way, way, way better than the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills, from a roster perspective, are not way better than the Kansas City Chiefs, but they are starting to close the gap. The Chargers, they are up and coming. Jim Harbaugh, in his second year with the San Francisco 49ers, went to the Super Bowl. It's Jim Harbaugh's second year with the Los Angeles Chargers. Who knows what can happen? Has the drought begun for the Kansas City Chiefs, and is everybody just afraid to say it because it is sacrilegious to talk about Patrick Mahomes and it's sacrilegious to talk about Andy Reid? Has the drought begun?
No, hell no. This is crazy. A drought, not at all.
A Super Bowl winning drought. Not a good team drought, not a winning AFC playoff games drought, a winning championship drought.
No, they're still in contention, man. Every single year they're going to be. And again, just went 15-2. Technically a down year for them, and they still went 15-2. Not at all, man. Again, this is the, I guess, the curse of being a good team. Like, how do I sustain it? That's why when people have the Patriot fatigue, when people have the Chiefs fatigue, like, I don't understand that, because it is so challenging to win in a National Football League. It is insanely difficult. I mean, I went to Super Bowl in 2011. I retired in 19. I sniffed the playoff once, playing that long. And it's so challenging. So for a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, like, to constantly be in contention, they just understand the formula. We had George Arkaufis on air yesterday when I was in studio, and he already's been to 3 Super Bowls. And we asked him, like, hey, was it important for you guys to play well because the offense had a down year? And his whole thought was, we don't even think about who had an up or down year, what have you. We're just trying to win games. Yeah. So in this point, yeah, we can talk about the stats. I'm sure Mahomes sees those things, and they need to improve. He knows that. but they're just in the business of they have the formula of winning games. And guys who know how to win, those are the ones that are consistently in it. And that's why, I have no concerns. None with the Chiefs.